Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome. It is the second day of the TED Cup 18 group stage, and in good chronological order, we're going with Group B today. Happy, Soin, Starbuck, and Elegant. 4 players, 5 matches, 2 players to advance, and 2 to be eliminated. And today I'm actually not alone, but rather joined by the wonderful Quberte.
Good afternoon, mate. How's it going?
It is going pretty damn good. We have a lot of fun matches today. Yesterday, we were blessed with an entire day of Night of Mirrors. Today, that's going to be looking different. I think we're going to be seeing probably all 4 races represented, which is always a nice little cherry on top. And guess what? We're wasting no time because our first game is already starting. Happy versus Soin. Let's jump in.
Well, I don't know about you, Remo, but kicking things off with Happy versus Soin, I don't think it gets much better than this.
Yeah, absolutely. Has always been one of my favorite matchups as well. Of course, Happy is the big favorite for this tournament. With other heavy hitters, not in this TED Cup this time around, with 1-0 and Lin not participating, it seems like Happy is almost destined to perhaps not win, but make it far. Soin is one of the orcs who was able to challenge him in the past, but recently it seems like it hasn't been Soin's strongest performance.
Yeah, I think we've seen quite a shift in this matchup nowadays, Remo. It's definitely tougher for Orc than it used to be. That's for sure, but Soin is definitely one of those players that can absolutely dethrone Happy if given the chance. And we're seeing a bit of an adaptation with a quick tech here from the Orc, which I'm quite a fan of, honestly. We want to try and avoid being pushed in by the undead on tier 3. So let's see if this approach works out.
Alright, I think you're a bit loud. I'm going to turn you down a bit. We're adjusting the volume on the fly here, boys. Yeah, it was especially Focus who looked pretty good recently. He had this... Oh, hold on, last hit. He had this specific Wyvern strat. Fast tech, Wyvern, tier 3, Shadowhunter, Farseer, and then try to find pickoff after pickoff. That was pretty successful and worked against almost every undead, with the exception, of course, of Happy, where that didn't work out so well. So the question is still, how can you beat Happy? I think on the right map, the answer still is Blade Master Triple Hero, but not every map is super good for that, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tide Hunters is definitely one of those maps that's great for Farseer in particular. I'm not too sure if I'd like Soin's approach right now, actually. Trying to harass the Acolytes against Happy is usually not the strongest approach here, with only Wolves against the Nerubian Tower. That didn't work out too successfully, and Happy is pretty content to just creep here, I think. Soin here coming in for a little bit of an intercept, but not sure he's even going to be able to get the Snarecaster off of Happy.
So it's the one grunted to head on a build. No, wait, it's grunts and warmill and towers? What is someone doing here? Last hit, again going to Happy. Claws awarded to the undead. Is he seriously trying to make towers? There were just 2 peons moving out. Here they go again. Alright,
Yeah,
this is something new.
Expansion. Do you think it's going to be Raiders, Remo? With an expansion? That would be fun.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know yet what it's gonna be. Tier 2 about to finish. Here we go. That's the Great Hall. Is Happy gonna scout it though? He doesn't have new skellies anymore. No rod. So scouting for him is a bit more difficult. Uh-oh. Lag? Oh my god. Was I lagging?
For a second. Just for a second.
A player's forces are under attack.
Well, it is indeed the early expansion here by Soin. I feel like this is going to be pretty tough for him to hold, honestly. Happy's just gotten away with so much creeping, so many good items at his disposal as well, that are already passed over to that Lich. Big mana as well, of course, in due Happy fashion. Of course, that is the draw for him at the Ogre Magi camp there. And this Orc Expo is a long ways off of finishing.
But the DK's hurt. The TC is coming. Perhaps he can hold on to the expansion here, but there's no Chain Lightning yet. Alright, this is a big moment in the game. Happy decides to go for the tower. Really? That means the expansion should then finish. This is all crucial seconds with the TC on the way and Stomp soon available. Happy want to get the tower and the expo. If this doesn't work, but of course it works. Who am I to doubt? Who am I to not be sure of Happy's success? Of course he gets it both. Of course it all works out. And of course it's right before the TC arrived.
That is absolutely brutal. Who are you to question the Emperor's calculations, Remo? Of course it was going to work out. But yeah, just sublime movement by Happy, honestly. We've seen just a solid creep route, and he was aware all the time of what Soin's plans were. And Soin, he just... How do you even follow this up right now? He's investing into this expo once again, trying to get the tower planted. And it feels like as Orc, if you get it cancelled even once, it's super difficult for you to ever get it up, basically.
Yeah, also, I feel like the early reinforced defenses here doesn't really do much. It's not about protecting the towers, it's about getting up the expansion. Well, maybe at the lumber left over. Doesn't cost much in terms of gold. But this looks kind of like, I almost want to say, an improvised build so far. It's not coming together just yet anyways. But at least the DK is being kept from creeping. He's still fairly far away from level 3. But again, showing up with the wolves. Happy knows exactly the timings. And before there's raiders, you can do this without much risk. Of course, there's a stomp, but the stomp is not enough. The tower is finally up. One ghoul goes down. But this was a very successful early game for Happy. Super noticeable delay on the expansion. And with the Orc expansion so late, I guess the Undead doesn't even have to go all in. But I guess he could as well.
I feel like this 2-3 timing is going to hit like an absolute truck. Happy just needs the third hero, Orb of Corruption, and level 3 DK, and this push is going to be absolutely deadly with these ghouls. I think Soin needs a little bit of a miracle here. We need a lot of towers, and he's been supply blocked for the longest time. We only have one bestiary available as well. Yeah, this is the sands of time are running out in the hourglass right now for Soin.
Yeah. Also, with the Orc being only tier 2, normally you can't rely on the army being too good, because it's only tier 2 units, obviously. Also, there's no casters or anything, just, you know, bestiary, barracks units. So oftentimes, what you come to rely on is the heroes. Farseer, sort of, and especially the TC. With high levels, level 3, 4, and maybe 5, he can win the fights for you. But the TC also was forced to not creep for a long time, still only level 2. And here we go, the timing is materializing. We got Frenzy and Destroyer coming. Dark Ranger certainly to join. Oh, and the Farseer getting caught out in the middle.
Oh, didn't even technically need to dodge there. But of course, no reason to play risky whatsoever here. For Soin, he's struggling to come online right now at the moment, though. This expo isn't even finished yet.
That's
Remo.
another cancel.
Brutal.
Oh my god, that's so sad. Frenzy Ghouls certainly have enough DPS to tear this one down. Ooh, this is just a disaster from beginning to end for Soin. Yikes.
Everyone getting absolutely executed to the side there. Yeah, a little bit of a shame, I think, for Soin here. He just never managed to bring the game plan together. Unfortunately, there's a few crucial ingredients missing, I think, there. 2 Wind Riders in the face of this Undead army, I think, is even close to enough, unfortunately, for Soin right now.
Yeah, not to be mean, but this build was not too impressive. Like, this build, it looked like it hinged on Happy just not showing up and not harassing. There was no security, there was no certainty in this build. If Happy doesn't show up and the expansion just comes up, nice. But, well, if he shows up with a couple of ghouls, then it's an easy cancel. Also because the grunts have a tough time targeting the ghouls, unlike the headhunters. There were no raiders out yet, there was no TC out yet. There was no way to ensure this was going to be an expansion that could also work. Those are the good expansion builds, you know? The ones that where you know that whatever happens, you can make it work. But that was not the case here. Farseer goes down, and this is one hell of a stomp.
Yeah, I just didn't really see it working out from the beginning, honestly. We don't have any headhunters to help you creep. The raiders were miles off of coming online, so you're just getting absolutely decimated. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes just to fix things.
Alright, cool. Yeah, around 10 minutes, you know, this is what we see Happy games lasting oftentimes. Frenzy becomes ready around 9 minutes. The good old Frenzy timing. And oftentimes, shortly after that, the game is GG. Yeah, you need to show up with more preparation and a better build than that against Happy. Simple as that. To be fair, in Group B, Happy is the big favorite. Perhaps the question isn't going to be who can beat Happy in this group, because I think nobody can really. Maybe the bigger question is who's going to take second place. Because Happy taking first here seems to be pretty much a certainty. But who's going to get second? I think this is where things get really interesting. Because Starbuck, Elegant, and Soin all on a comparable skill level, I would say. We haven't seen Elegant too much in tournaments over the last couple of years, really. But on ladder, he's very active. He has a really good matchup against ORC. And it's not out of the question that he might make it here in second place. Yesterday, we had Dice making it through in second place in Group A, with Moon taking first. And of course, here today, everyone's expecting Big Demi Happy to take first place in B. He won TED Cup 17, right? Let me look that up. Or was it 1-0? Normally, it's always 1-0 or Happy winning the TED Cup. 17 was Happy. And 16 was Happy. All right. Yep, Happy is on a spree. With the one exception of the WAR3 Champions Season Finals, where Sok was able to beat him in that super epic best of 5.
All right, I had to resort back to the old microphone for the time being. Apologies for that.
All right, Quberte, we got your back. It sounds a bit imperfect as well, but I think this should be all right.
Yeah, I do apologize. I need to find some way to EQ the new mic properly. I didn't have the opportunity to do so far.
All right.
But alas, this one should be better than the one before, at least, I hope.
Did you join the game?
Yes, I'm in the game.
Ah, okay, you did. Nice. All right. We are on map 2. It is time for Last Refuge. You know, gotta be honest with you. Every time we have a cast, right? Normally, you kind of try to assess how much time it's gonna take, most likely. And I tell you what, when Happy is playing, depending on the group, you can oftentimes shave 1 hour off of the broadcast. So, to be honest, this is kind of like what I'm expecting today. Quick 2-0-2-0, around 10-11 minutes maybe. Not to take all the excitement out of this, but I think that's just a testament to Happy. In my view, at the moment, nobody in this group is close to being able to beat him. Soin has the chance to surprise us, to surprise me. But yeah, like I said earlier, Soin hasn't been looking the hottest lately. What's his ELO rank right now? Let me look that up. 19th. That is not super high. Soin has been having a bit of a rough one lately.
Yeah, I feel like he really is Happy's best competitor in this group, and of course, if he hasn't been doing as well, that will prove to be tough. I feel like a best of 3 is probably his best option, honestly, to secure a win. I think going best of 5 or best of 7 against Happy is always extremely tough. And being down 1-0, what other option do you have other than to bring out the Blade Master Mirror Image Headhunter creeping? This is just beautiful.
Yeah, I like to see it. I don't know who came up with this build, but it started showing up on ladder maybe 1 year ago, and everyone was like, what the hell is this? This is completely stupid. And then Soin made it work against a couple of really good undeads, and we were like, hold on. Maybe there is something to this. The late game potential of this strat is really good, but getting to late game, I guess it's always the case with Blade Master. If you get super late game, if you drag out the game, if you get the high hero levels, then the Blade can be very strong. But of course the Headhunters have noticeably become weaker compared to the past, and especially with lower HP, Dark Ranger, Snowball, Skellies, and so on. We know how that can go. And action now kicking off, because Happy sees the opportunity for a Creepjack. Bit of a risky play, maybe by Soin, trying to go for this camp. Oh, and the coil steals the last hit. That was a big one. The level 4 High Priest gives him level 2. And the DK is on the chase.
See, I like Soin's idea to go for the pool onto the mercenary camp there, but then of course the Acolyte was there to scout that coming, and of course Happy was going to be on his way immediately. I feel like it was very greedy of Soin to try to even do the camp and just accept that you can't do it because your opponent is going to come cross map. Both players actually split creeping here nicely, which is fun to see. So Happy getting away with the High Priest camp on Soin's side, important to note. In the meantime, the Blade Master with the Mirror Image is trying to secure the Nightcrawler, does manage to get it. That was very important to get the level 2 there in the Blade Master. Pays the price though with a Headhunter and maybe a second one potentially. Oh man.
Oh. The Sentry Wards and the Wand of Illusion here paying off really hard for this Creepjack. That's the second kill. Yup, these Headhunters look quite frail nowadays. And I think there's another one going down. We got one more coil. Ghouls are in. And the thing is also, it's way easier to save the ghouls because you don't have to fear a Windwalk. But good movement here. Someone gets at least one ghoul kill. But this is already a good early game for Happy.
Yeah, Good might even be downplaying it slightly. Soin is almost tier 2 with only 23 food to his name. That looks pretty rough. He doesn't have a particular tech lead against Happy either. And of course items on the side of Happy as well. Looking great. Circlet and Mantle. Still has another Wand of Illusion at his disposal as well. I feel like Soin just has no space to try and creep anything at the moment.
Chad was saying it, this is the Scars build. Mirror Images and Boots. This is something we used to see a long time ago. Blade Master Boots, tier 2 Shadowhunter, back in the day when orcs were absolutely annihilating undeads. Long time ago. But yeah, with Mirror Images it's pretty cool, especially if you get level 4 and there's like a bunch of Mirror Images running around. With Boots, it's really hard to properly deal with them oftentimes, but I feel like for undead, honestly, it's the easiest. You have Destroyers, you have AoE Dispel, doesn't cost mana, just a bit of a cooldown, and you have the ghouls on the ground to protect the destroyers against headhunters and such. So I appreciate Soin trying a couple of builds. To be honest though, they do seem a tad cheesy.
Another Headhunter going down here as well. Yep, the ghoul is being split off there just to secure that kill. Happy is just on Soin, on top of him constantly here. The Wand of Illusion just proving to be absolutely amazing, of course. In tandem with Sentry Wards, that is just an absolutely brutal combination for Soin to deal with right now. The XP differential is huge right now. The DK is almost level 3. And Soin, it feels like he can't creep anything at all. We've got the other Sentry Ward from Happy positioned at the Goblin Merchant as well. So in following up with double beastry here, this might be Wind Riders potentially against ghouls, and Happy just seems to be going with the standard here. The tier 3 is coming along very quickly though.
A player's forces are under attack.
And we all know what that means. You don't have to wait too much longer for Frenzy. Can Soin survive that timing? Like we've seen in the past, especially from Lin, if you survive the Frenzy timing on the right map where you can still creep after, you can be in a decent spot. But the spot here is a bit rough. DK making things difficult, forcing a Hex. He can definitely get a kill here. Oh, but he's perhaps to be careful himself. But there's no speed scroll. I guess he's fine. What's the item? Belt. Kind of nice for illusions, but the damage on the blade is not too impressive.
Yeah, +0 on this Blade Master. That is not exactly a force to be reckoned with in the late game. A Tome of Agility feels like a meager recompense to try and get his damage up there a little bit. The TC will be pleased with these items, but at the end of the day, he's likely to be level 1 with this push. Inevitably comes to Soin side of the map, and you need that strong Blade Master to be able to help hold. Feels like Soin needs to play evasive here and maybe do some economy damage or something with these Wind Riders. I feel like he's going to get massacred in a straight fight.
I don't know if you saw Lin's recent games against 1-2-0. Lin was always playing Blade Master triple hero, right? And super defensive. Getting ready for the frenzy timing, not just with reinforced, but with reinforced, 2 towers, and spiked barricades. And my lord, was that base secure. Of course, the question is then, how much money have you wasted for an army out on the field? But for Lin against 1-0, it wasn't very successful. My point is, there is 0 static defense in Soin's main. There's no reinforced, there's no nothing. These burrows can go down really quickly, especially with the help of destroyers.
Yeah, Soin appears to even be neglecting reinforced defenses right now. He is on tier 2, trying to set up an extremely late expansion. I mean, I don't know about this, Remo. Finding 2 ghouls for free is really nice, but how is Soin meant to hold with these heroes? They are so lackluster right now. Happy, is he even bothering to add Gargs? Not at the moment. Actually struggling a little bit to get the resources online for a 3rd hero. Is there a world in which Soin is able to hold this attack? I'm not too certain of that.
The Wyvern here are the one trump card. As Focus showed lately, if the undead doesn't have enough anti-air, the Mass Wyvern can win you games. But right now, it's only 3 Wyvern. It's not exactly mass just yet. And the DK with the Lich with the Nova and the Orb starting to pick apart these Wyvern. There's one more heal wave, but that was indeed the very last one. They're just getting chased by these mirror images, but easily getting healed by the DK. And this is before Frost Armor, which now we do have.
There we go.
And the trials and tribulations continue for our orc friend, who has close to nothing left. It says 40 supply. It looks a lot less. And the expansion ain't happening.
Yeah, there's currently 7 food in production for Soin right now. Dark Ranger joining the field here as well. I feel like Soin, he has no mana left to even potentially go for a Hail Mary on that Lich and hex the DK. Happy once again cancelling the expansion. He is the master of this, preventing orcs from getting sneaky tier 2 expansions. Soin, he does have quite a lot of resources at his disposal. Perhaps he could go for some more Raiders or Wind Riders and hit the base of Happy, but this is the thing, if your initial game plan fails like this, Happy is just going to go back, creep everything super fast, and have just unbeatable hero levels.
Yeah, this matchup is a lot about heroes in the end. It's very interesting how the different timings match up, the different power spikes and moments of strength, especially early on. It seems to be that the Undead is favored once the DK hits level 3, but the later the game goes, if you can find that ultra late game with the super high hero levels, we've all seen it, the Orc Tri-Hero can really work wonders. But Tri-Hero is the crucial thing here to keep in mind, because it is no Tri-Hero. It is only tier 2. Time is against Soin. If you stay tier 2, you have to have an expansion. No expo, no third hero, means very little chances.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Soin here because he is entirely pigeonholed into trying to expand at all costs. And the Orc Expo is a pretty slow one at that, I'm afraid. And, you know, Last Refuge is not exactly the biggest map in the world. Perhaps he could try to set 2 bases down simultaneously and attack Happy's base. But of course Soin wasn't able to even clear a second spot yet to try such a play. Happy just splitting off the Dark Ranger skeletons here to cancel the expansion. You don't even need the army to keep on top of these Orc Expos, man. That is so brutal right now.
Yeah, which of course means that the main army for Happy can still be active and threaten in the south. So even if the expansion was supposed to be tactical as distraction, that didn't work. Alright, here we go. Big fight now coming. Wyvern getting partly wept, not too many fiends yet. The damage, though, is so weak. The Raiders do basically no damage. The Blade Master has okay items. Far from amazing, though. Happy's army here on tier 3, completely outmatching that of the Orc. Might finally get a Destroyer kill, but look at how hard it is to bring that one down. The damage is just so low. Way too low. Does the Destroyer get away? Of course it does. Oh, never mind. Happy for once. Not healing it in time. Not that it matters.
Yeah, slight bit of miss micro there, but all the Wind Riders are now dead. 29 food for a split second there on the side of Soin. You see, Happy doesn't even need to go for any sort of hero focus, just pick apart the weak tier 2 Orc units, and that will guide you to victory. Ghouls are just expendable, basically fodder to allow Happy to farm up some levels, and look at these hero levels already. DK is well on the way to level 5, 3.5 Lich, level 3 Dark Ranger. That is not something you want to see on the side of Soin, who is struggling to basically creep camps with only 3 Raiders at his disposal, Remo. It's rough to watch.
Yeah, it's sad. I really don't know where Raiders fit into the meta at the moment. Like, I feel like Raiders just are bad against Undead. Unless you happen to play against Ted Fiend build, but nobody seems to play that anymore. I feel like if you go Bestiary, you just go Wyvern. Again, I must mention, Focus has shown a way to make that build work. It's a pretty cool one. Fast tech tier 3 mass Wyvern. If you get a lead and throw in like 2 Raiders, then I'm fine with that. 2 end snares, but you can't overinvest. Raiders are just such bad fighters. And yeah, I think Soin needs to get back to the drawing board after this game. This just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think notably versus Ghouls as well, Raiders just get absolutely torn to shreds. That medium armor against the normal damage of the Ghouls and the Orb of Corruption debuff and Coil Nova, they just fall apart super quickly. Even the Kodos here are probably not going to do too much. Shadowhunter potentially in the firing line here right now. Actually, the Blade looking fairly tanky with these items, but again, Happy just going to the back line here, destroying the Wind Riders right off the bat here. Look how fast they die. They're called Flying XP Tones for a reason. Kodo is now the target as well here. Soin desperately trying to go for the Lich at the very back. We have
Look at that damage. It's such a joke.
it's
Crit
not
for
even enough.
132. He doesn't even need the invuln. He's cycloned, he's ensnared, it don't matter. Tier 2 Orc is kinda trash. You need Tier 3, buddy. There's a couple of different ways to do it. Or an expansion. One of the two. Tier 3 or expo. And of course I realize it's easier said than done. He tried with expansions before, but you know, that's where the strategy comes into play in the strategy game. You need to find the right build that actually works, that doesn't just rely on a gamble.